Initiate.
När vi ska flytta oss, sätta oss i säkerhet. Det verkar vara ordentligt med båtkö.
What have they hit us with?
Looks like some kind of weapon. It's working in tandem with their ship.
Why do I even worry about some silly little statues coming down or some silly little street names changing? Why do I care? It's because the last time I didn't care about this, I was a teenager. I have already lived through this thing when I was living in Venezuela. Statues came down. Chavez didn't want that history displayed. And then he changed the street names. Then came the curriculum. Then some movies couldn't be shown on certain TV channels. And so on and so forth. And there's clearly a lot of people wanting to destroy the U.S.
A repeal on Prop 209 would allow public universities and state agencies to consider race in their hiring and admissions decisions. Similar legislation has failed in the past, but the issue is gaining momentum following worldwide protests over racial injustice.
But 55% of voters passed Prop 209 in 1996 in order to outlaw preferential treatment based on race, gender, and ethnicity.
And the request, interesting for this, came from the students at Berkeley. And they said, we want to repeal Prop 209. We need to have a diverse student population.
And many in California's Asian American community believe it will lead to the exact opposite.
It's almost like they're trying to benefit a particular group and yet forgot the basic principle of fairness.
Peter Kuo is the vice chairman of California's Republican Party. He says ACA 5 violates the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, giving all citizens equal protection under the law.
Oh my God. The terraforming.
How long's the blackout going for?
Till 8 p.m.
Okay, so I have to wait till 8 basically?
You're welcome to like hang out in the perimeter area.
Well, the thing is, I'm half Italian, half Colombian, so do I get a pass to get in there, or?
Well, this space is right now held for just black folks.
Oh, just black, okay,
Yeah.
so full black, you're saying?
If you have black ancestry, or if you have experienced oppression because you are black, then you can enter this space.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, oh wow, gosh, the wind changed and I have to move away. It's so hot. Oh, it's uncomfortable. It genuinely hurts. to be close to it.
So let's talk about that, because you've talked about the dismantling, the need to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department. What takes its place? If you could just decree what takes its place, who investigates crimes? Who arrests criminals? What happens?
These racist teachers have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. These racist teachers have got to go. Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power!
We will be moving funding from the NYPD to youth initiatives and social services.
Fuck you and fuck the police!
The foundation has to be built on something. Even your father recognized that.
What you can do is rebuild. And so this is our opportunity, as a city to come together, have the conversation of what public safety looks like, who enforces the most dangerous crimes that take place in our community.
These are the lost ones. The lost ones are rising. Pay no attention.
Johnny. To make it seem like you have to simplify it for us. We're not simpletons. We're adults.
Right.
And so I'm telling you, you're speaking to your ancestor. All right? We've been here before you. We built these cities.
Right.
We've had civilization way before you ever had.
Right.
Coming out your caves, okay?
But anyways, as I was saying, if we really want a change in this world, we have to kill white people. We have to start killing them. Otherwise, there will be no change at all. They will continue to do what they do, and they will be entitled about it and spoiled. We have to kill them. If Mitch McConnell, we have to get him out of the fucking Senate because he is the epitome of white people. Same with Trump.
No, God. I can't be a part of this. Then what can you be a part of?
No! Stop! No! No!
It has been interesting to note the discussion surrounding the ever-increasing hysteria as the zealots of the woke mob are literally allowed to run riot. In particular, some points that journalist-turned-commentator Tim Pool is making about the lack of counter-protesting by the political right. Or the decisions of business owners to choose legal avenues for recourse against the City of Seattle response to the Chaz/Chop Zone. What commentators like Tim need to understand is that similar to how it is politically expedient to allow the Chaz to fail under its own weight rather than be goaded into using the Insurrection Act so he can be opportunistically be pained as a dictator. The mindset of right-leaning people is not that of the so-called man the barricade bearers commune people power. It is more a case of using legal means. An example can be seen after the system failure of 2008, when there is serious tension. The impulse of the left was to form the Occupy movement and occupy the physical space of Wall Street in particular. The impulse of the right, however, was to form the Tea Party movement. Although this was co-opted from the libertarians, there was nevertheless good strides made in utilizing Congress to compel fiscal responsibility. The issue lost on the Tea Party, however, is that their model of book-balancing budget responsibility holds as being prudent under a gold standard system. Under the current fiat system that has been in place since 1971, constant inflation and credit expansion is required to keep the system going, and extensive national debt, money creation and budget deficits are part and parcel of ensuring this is the case. The right are pragmatically aware that the last time they attempted a form of counter-rally in favor of the tapestry of American history was the Charlottesville Unite the Right rally in 2017. The rather curious policing tactics allowed the rally attendees to meet up with far-left counter-protesters, and we haven't heard the end of it from the media, all too eager to gobble up the footage and hyperventilate about the supposed threat coming from the far right. All this despite the fact it has been left-wing agitators who have been thuggishly creating instability at this time. And in terms of Trump, while accurate in his portrayal that like with every participating group there are moderate elements and antisocial elements, his statement nevertheless was susceptible to media games about not uniting the country behind condemnation of the far right. Fast forward to the current situation, while there has been some counter-rallies in the US, we only have to look at the situation concerning the New Mexico militia and the media discourse to be aware the media are all too keen to cover for the protesters. Similarly, in Britain, the media paradoxically call the violent and thuggish Black Lives Matter demonstrations peaceful and crop pictures to feed this narrative. Meanwhile, political moderate football fans and veterans who mobilized to protect statues that the London police allowed to be defaced were arbitrarily framed as so-called far-right thugs.
I've come on my own here today to stand and protect that flag. You don't get fucking paid to do it and do nothing. You're cowards, every one of you, cowards. You run away. Now look at you smirking at me. I'm a disabled ex-serviceman, 15 years. You're smirking at me. You're letting them burn my flag, which is your flag. You're cowards, every one of you. And now I'll fuck off home, because it's a disgrace. Are you the boss there, mate? Well, you ain't got the bollocks to stand up. Fucking what a coward. Cowards, the lot of you. I was going to have to have a little word with you, mate. A little word. Can we go down here in private? Well said, mate. Well said.
Well said. Of course, the consequence is that because black people have been given a pass for assaulting and chasing police officers at a politically palatable protest, they do the same for other domestic disturbances such as a block party, and so the stage is set for significant violent disturbances against the police. On the other side of the coin, football fans do not care for media coverage given a history of being labeled hooligans, and so we can likely expect more counteractions like the White Lives Matter Burnley plane. All this despite the condemnation of the establishment players and coaches who are naive at best and ignorant at worst as to what their kneeling symbology is and the politics that their armbands is promoting.
I also think that it might I think of a lot of things. The first thing I think is that we actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on sort of ideological theories. And I think that what we really try to do is build a movement that could be utilized by many, many Black folk.
Football fans ties Black Lives Matter to deconstruction of society and hatred-filled vandalism, and it would be very curious to see what the fans' response would be during the kneeling were fans allowed to fill the stands. Similarly, it will be curious to see the response of NFL fans to widespread kneeling, or NASCAR fans to the Confederate flag ban pushed by so-called Bubba Smollett, who also lapped up the virtue signaling of his sport while calling a garage door lever a noose.
Keep it moving, keep it moving! Stop! Stop! Marshalling there and make secure! What's the matter, Mr. Weller? The strop, sir! It's parting! Stars, make me a sling.
How much do we need to?
About 5 fathoms to do it, Matthews.
5 fathoms, now!
You volunteering, Mr. Humber? I am, sir.
That's a good knot for the job, sir.
Yes, thank you, Stars.
What the likes of Tim Pool need to understand is, the right will peaceably exhaust every peaceful option from legal action to fundraising for destroyed small business, to joining militia to protect property. But there is something to be said that when they finally do reach the stage where they've exhausted all legal options and feel pushed into a corner, then there will be no half measures. The founding fathers of the US came to the point where they declared independence entirely. And so the right may seek to fully split from a system irredeemably corrupted by popular vote replacing the Electoral College. Or the rollback of the civil rights legislations starting in California, which seems to open the door to Marxist-inspired South Africa-style bigotries. All suspiciously geared toward a genocidal direction with no recourse to correct this direction through the power of reason given the extent of Marxist brainwashing.
A black person pointing to privilege and power is white?
Yes, sir. A white person.
We're done. My black wife is calling me. I'm gonna have a conversation.
That doesn't mean that you're
about
not
racist.
sir. Just because you have one black friend or a black wife, you can still be racist. It has nothing to do with your acquaintances. Wow, it must have been so intimidating that all the police moved that way. That's impressive. Just with a little drive.
It's not intimidating. It's just like you're trying to have a conversation. You have a one-track mind. There's no point in having that conversation.
Everyone moved that way.
You have to be able to be open to both sides of the story. Your
Everyone
belief is just
moved
your
over.
side, and that's it.
Impressive. They couldn't even handle it.
You can't have a
They couldn't
conversation
handle it,
that's the
sir.
only thing.
I wasn't talking to you, sir. I was talking to white dude.
Oh, because I can't be racist, right?
No, sir. I was talking to him.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it doesn't fit your agenda.
Systemically, no, sir. Systemically, racism can only be white. Systemically, sir. Individually, it can be a different color, but systemically, it can only be white.
It doesn't fit your agenda. You don't want
Tim Pool may find he doesn't like some of the excessive counter behavior,
which is more and more white people noticing shit like the knockout game and shit like who's actually shooting people and where the largest or the largest proportion of the interracial crime and violence comes from, that kind of thing.
You mean notice the truth?
So how is that? Where are we going in those terms as regards to everything that's happening?
Oh, probably to a good race riot.
Well, I mean, what are these things that we've been looking at thus far?
Oh, they aren't a race riot, Ollie. They're Black Lives Matter. They're peaceful protests. And there's going to be a whole bunch of white people that have had enough of it and are going to march into Chicago and burn the motherfucker down.
All right, now that seems a little far-fetched, but I'm listening.
Similarly in Britain, the general populace voted Brexit to distance itself from the increasingly Marxist EU.
Within 5 years, we will have a foreign policy without nation-state veto. We will have a European army to back it up. We will have a European minimum wage. We will have European social legislation. I mean, basically, if she gets her plan through, there is almost no point in having national parliaments whatsoever. It was an outright attack on the concept of a democratic nation state. And when you look at it and think about it, you know, a government of Europe that she wants to be an unelected European Commission. I mean, this is full-blown EU centralisation, big power at the centre, control over every aspect of our lives, and that's why I called it an updated, modern version of communism.
Similarly, they relied on the London Metropolitan Police Force to facilitate Black Lives Matter protesters' free speech while protecting the property and statues that represent the tapestry of Britain's journey as a civilization. Warts and all. And if the media fails to oversee a balanced discussion and grooming gang crimes continue to be covered up by the government and police force, then the risk is that the erstwhile peaceful patriotic-minded citizens get to the point where they will feel there is no peaceable recourse. And they will show a disrespect to the police forces of a similar ilk to the black and Muslim populations, and significant societal unrest can ensue.
subscribe. Comment in the section below. Hit the bell for more notifications. More content on BitChute. I am on Gab and Twitter. Like and share.